Jim Bakker Show. I'm your co-host, Tammy Sue Bakker. Today's special guest, John Shorey, Mark Augustin. And now, please give a warm welcome to my parents and the hosts of the Jim Bakker Show, Jim and Lori Bakker.
Thank you, Tammy Sue Bakker.
Yes.
Great to have you all here today.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why I'm encouraging people that you need to go and buy, you know, the canned vegetables and the canned berries and the canned apples, all of the offerings that we get through Mark that include vegetables, berries, and fruit from fruit trees.
Yeah. Listen, we've covered it all, and that's what I love about John here. John knows the reason why we need fruits and vegetables, because if we can't buy them, we can't grow them. The earth isn't sustainable for X amount of time.
Yes.
We've got to, like I say, food's non-negotiable.
Well, you know,
we need these things.
Can I share a little story that happened to me and a couple of Bible verses on what you're talking about? You know, I had a bad habit, and God pulled my leash, reined me in, got my attention.
Really?
You know, in the area of Arizona, because of the weather, just like in Florida, there's a lot of homeless people. And they're out on the corners with their signs, you know, asking for help and asking for money. And I've heard too many stories of people that are not legit. They'll do this for a living. And so I would just ignore them, saying, well, I know I'm giving when I give to missions. I know where it's going. When I pay my tithes, I know where it's going. And so I figured, you're not going to scam me. So I was just ignoring them. And a few months ago, I'm going to a Starbucks to get coffee grounds. And there's a guy out there in a wheelchair with one leg. And I just blew him away. And when I left, God spoke to me and said, he can't fake having one leg. He has a legitimate need, and you're walking away.
That's cool. I mean, that's a pretty sharp statement.
Oh, absolutely. God got my attention. So then I prayed, and I said, God, will you help me to recognize legitimate needs so I can respond to that?
Yeah.
And then what it dawned on me was, if we are not meeting the needs of the needy before the tribulation, what do you think God's going to do? The tribulation starts, God's all of a sudden going to zap you, and you're going to have love and compassion to help the needy? We're going to have the needy all around us. And if we don't start acting like this now, who are we? Are we even Christians? So let me tell you, I put some scriptures together, and it shook me up, and it's straightening me out, and maybe we all need to be straightened out a little bit.
Give us the scriptures.
Blessed is he who considers the poor. The Lord will deliver him in the time of trouble. Hey, you want to be delivered in the tribulation?
Yes. What's that scripture?
That scripture is Psalms 41, 1 and 2. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he will be blessed on the earth. You will not be delivered, he will not deliver him to the will of the enemies. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. Boy, that's quite an indictment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then this last one is Matthew 25. Then the king will say to these on his right, come you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. Now, who wants to be included on his right?
Yes.
That he's going to give you an inheritance that has been prepared since the beginning of the world. He knew you before you were ever born, and he wants to give you a great reward for obedience. Okay? So, but then he goes and he says, for I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me.
Yes, he does.
Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go and visit you? The king will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine. Now, by the way, brothers of mine is mankind. Okay, it's not Jesus' brother, or your brother. It's talking about love your neighbor.
Really?
Okay?
That's powerful.
So it says, I tell you the truth, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. Now tell me, are we supposed to wait for the Great Tribulation to help people in need? Do you think Jesus was just talking about, oh, when you get to the end times, you need to have love and compassion and help your hungry neighbors and help clothe them and give them something to drink? No. So, I came up with this thought because I started praying, God, help me to see somebody that's got a legitimate need. I started seeing this man on this corner every week. I'd go to church in Tucson. I saw this same guy, and he was kind of thin. He wasn't overweight. He certainly wasn't on a big diet. And so I started giving him a couple of little things. But then I thought, I want to really bless him. So I had one of these extra backpacks at home.
Oh, my
that
goodness.
Are very reasonably priced. And I thought, grab and go. I want to make a prepared backpack that's called Grab and Give. Carry it in my vehicle with me. And you know what I put in here?
So good.
I put a water bottle. I put a solar flashlight. I put one of those foil blanket type things.
Sure.
And then I put canned goods, stuff that you could pop the lid open, and some of those cup of soups and a whole bunch of different things, and a couple of bottles of water. And when I saw that guy and gave him this, man, did he light up.
Wow.
I made his day. And I've done this a couple of times now, and I believe this is what God wants us to do.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be open to me sharing the gospel as I continue to see him. Mm-hmm. This is ministering to the needs of the needy around us. And if you think you're going to just wait for hard times, forget it. And you know what you're going to realize? When you realize that you need to go and take some of the food you have and give it to the needy, maybe you're going to realize that you haven't built a bigger ark. Because we need to have substance to share, because that's what it's all about. The greatest spiritual attack on the earth that's ever happened is coming. And there are going to be people that are going to need to hear the gospel. And how much sense does it make that God would take his soldiers, his army home, and leave all the Christians that were AWOL to go and lead the greatest revival the world has ever seen? You know what I mean? The ones that didn't go to church and that backslid and they didn't go to Sunday school, they didn't read their Bible. Do you really think God's going to use them for the greatest revival the world has ever seen? No. That's why we're supposed to stick around and prepare to help lead the lost to Jesus.
Amen. So good.
That's
Right,
powerful.
John.
And you know what's
my
been
heart
happening,
that you
John,
did that.
is we are seeing an increase in churches and especially pantries, church pantries. They're ordering food from us. I don't know if people are ordering from you directly or not.
Most of them come through you guys, especially if it's a church group.
Yeah,
So.
and we're these people they're using the food because they can't get food anymore.
That's right.
It's getting harder and harder
People
to get
aren't
the free
donating
food that you used to get.
Right.
Well, I have been hearing that a lot of pantries are shutting down.
They
Right.
are,
That's
John.
what
They
they
re-
are.
they are.
And
They-
that's why I'm saying God's army, if you're a Christian, these verses are saying, almost questioning your Christianity if you ignore the needs of the needy. Right?
Yeah.
And so
You
when
need
everything
to
gets
stock
really bad,
up,
I
people.
don't think there's going to be pantries out
No.
there enough for people to run to. They're going to be cleaned out in a heartbeat.
No, every church should be stacking up.
Yes.
Mark and I are trying, you know, we're partners in this crime, as they say. we just trying our best. And I've never seen a man like Mark Augustin. I've never seen anybody.
It's the passion. The passion
with a man of integrity and a man that helps.
Yes.
You know, this food takes preparation. You can't just go to a grocery store and buy this stuff. Right. It doesn't. If you buy it at the grocery store, there's a date on it. It expires. And so this takes a lot of work to do this. But we're trying to do bulk. If every church would stock up with food, we would literally have the greatest soul-winning tool that's ever been invented.
Yes, absolutely.
Because when people are hungry, they're going to come to your church. And, you know, I wrote about it in my book,
The Refuge.
The Refuge. And God showed to me what was going to happen and showed me L.A. collapsing. There it goes again. I didn't mean to do that. But this book that I wrote has to do with preparing, and the people, the earthquake was taking place, the power was out, and people were standing in lines at stores trying to get a little bit of food.
Right.
Instead, this lady, this sweet lady, she came up and said, well, our church has food. And she got and took them down there, and they went and got food, and they led them to the Lord in my book story here. It says another key element in the Christian community is fellowship. No doubt the early Christians celebrated communion together, reminding each other of the death, resurrection, and return of the Lord Jesus. In a later chapter, we will look more closely at the intimate family affair. But notice, too, that the early Christian community also are together frequently, breaking bread from house to house. They ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart. Something wonderful happens when people are able to sit down to a meal together. And it just goes on, and it talks about, and these opening chapters are literally prophetic chapters. It's really the headline on the first page, or the head of it, is Who You Gonna Call?
That's right.
How long do you think the power will be out this time? Christine asks pensively.
You're reading out of
I'm reading from the book. This is before EMP was even talking about. I'm afraid our food in the refrigerator is going to spoil. Hard to tell, Stan answered as he lit a candle. The power has been out since early this morning, so please don't open the freezer any more than necessary. The ice cream is melting, but that should be okay for a while if we don't let any more cold air escape. Maybe we ought to go to the grocery store and buy some beans and other non-perishable foods. We might be in for a long haul. Stan stared out the window of the apartment he and Christine had been renting for the past 6 months. The couple have lived with Christine's parents for the first 3 years of their marriage, and although they were grateful for the family hospitality, Stan and Christine were ecstatic when they could finally afford their own place. It was with a tremendous sense of achievement and freedom that they cut the invisible family ties that had connected them to Christine's parents. They had packed all their worldly possessions in the back of a U-Haul trailer and moved to a medium-priced apartment south of Los Angeles. They were not far from La Jolla, about an hour away from Christine's and Stan's family, far enough to have some privacy, but close enough so that if they ever needed anything, some family members could come to their rescue. Free at last, free at last. Thank God we're free at last, Stan had quipped playfully in his best Martin Luther King Jr. imitation as they unloaded the last box from their belongings. Yes, isn't it grand to finally be on our own, Christine had commented. Now, 6 months later, in the aftermath of a stock market crash and shortage of almost everything, Stan was so convinced that they had made the right move. We're on our own, that's for sure, he thought. The normally well-lit apartment complex looked almost sinister and eerie in darkness. the wind whipped up, swaying the trees, rustling the leaves. And I wish I could read you this whole book, because the earthquake takes place in Los Angeles. It all begins to come apart. And this is when the vision of the last days that God gave me in prison, I wrote it it's fictitious, but it's exactly the things God said was going to happen. And they're all written in this book. And all of it's exactly what we do. It's about fellowship. It's about being together. It's about getting together. It's about having food. And it's about the church being able to pass out food.
Listen, the church is out there, the lighthouse to the community.
Yeah.
And if we're not storing food for ourselves, the government can't get food to us, then who's going to give us food?
That's right.
Where's the next place people are going to go if they can't get it? They're going to go to the churches.
They are.
And if the churches don't have the food to give, then where are they going to get the food?
That's right.
So if you bought in food...
that is just common sense.
If you bought in food for yourself, or you haven't, buy some for your church.
That's it.
Share it. Give it, like John spoke.
Right.
Like you're speaking here, Jim. Amazing stuff. So I just want that share. I want to share because I know people that will go to their church.
Yes.
Because they know the government's not coming, because they didn't prepare for themselves. They're looking for somebody else to take care of them because they're not taking care of themselves.
This book is prophetic, and it's written as a story. The first couple chapters are a story of this thing taking place.
Like a real family going through it.
I wrote it as prophetic. I wrote it prophetically.
Yes, you did.
Different than I've ever done anything of what the picture's going to be like. And it's happened. Parts of it has already happened, and this is what's coming.
Yes.
If you want to know the next chapter, this is the refuge. What is going to be the refuge in the last days?
You know, this would be a great book to
It's Christian community. It's people being together. The people that hate the church, you better find a church that you love, because you're going to need each other, folks. Desperate, you're going to need each other.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this special message.
Listen, you need to be prepared at least for the basic stuff of life. I live on the Gulf Coast. We're always inundated with tornadoes or hurricanes, and stores are closed, power's out for days, and you have to shelter in place.
It's during these times we have a great opportunity to share the hope, share the love, share the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ.
The first time a nuclear bomb goes off anywhere in the world, whether it's Asia or whether it's the Middle East, the government's going to say, let's get down there and shut them down while there's still a warehouse full of food, because the government has already warned the food warehouses that when a national catastrophe happens or a global catastrophe happens, we're coming after your food.
I believe people are going to order your food today.
Yeah.
You can start with one bucket. You can say, well, I can't afford any food. You can afford a bucket for a gift of
$75.
$75 when you order it by itself. But you can do that every month.
And the price lowers to $70 a month.
Yeah, $70 a month.
So you're saving $80 a year.
Yeah.
I know you have food supplies and they're in barrels. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you don't know. But in my dreams, I see food in containers that can float.
That's ours.
I literally saw this.
Wow.
And I thought, now that's an idea. If people have something that floats and they tie it together, then they're not going to have to worry about losing it if it's protected.
There is buttermilk pancakes,
Right.
quick oats, fast quick oats, mashed potatoes, vegetable stew blend,
Right.
white rice, pinto beans, and morning moose low-fat milk. It's an alternative that is so rich and wonderful. These pancakes are as good or better than you've eaten at pancake houses.
All the food you guys see in the store is exactly the same food you see here. All we're doing is controlling the environment the food's stored in. This food's everyday food.
Right.
And if we are prepared, then we can minister to others.
The Bible says there's a time of trouble like no other time on earth, and it's going to last 7 years. And so that's 7 years of food. That lasts through the time of trouble for $1,500, which is an amazing buy right now. The cheapest we've been able to price the food in the history of our...
19 cents a serving. I mean, it's incredible. Nowhere around you're going to find that type of price.
And it's called Staying Alive, and that'll keep you alive for those 7 years. But also, you know, you put other food with it, you can make it last for years and years and years.
You know, and I think one of the things you have to understand is that the value of this is $4,800, and today you're getting it for $1,500. So you're saving $3,300 today.
Yeah,
it's an amazing deal.
You need to do what God says. Things are happening.
When you're looking at, what, 17, 19 cents a serving, what is it, like 57
cents a
day for one person? I would get a bucket of food and start that way and stop going to the grocery store because groceries are so expensive.
Part of the commission, the Great Commission, and also the judgment seat of Christ is going to be based around, I was hungry and you gave me meat,
That's right?
Yeah.
And what an opportunity for, especially for people that can afford to do more than just for themselves.
Yes.
What a door opener it would be for them to be ready to also pass along some of this food product to neighbors and others that might not be that willing to talk to you about God, but now all of a sudden you've done something in fulfillment of the commission, right?
Yeah.
And as we reach out to the lost, that is ultimately pleasing to God and reaching out to meet their needs and get their attention and fill them full of the Word of God and something for their tummy. That means quit thinking about you and your family. We need to organize. We've got to start thinking bigger than ourselves, because we're going to have a period of 42 months where we're going to refuse to take the mark of the beast. And during that time where we refuse to take it, you're not going to be able to go out and buy any food. You're not going to be able to buy any resources that you're going to need to go through that 3.5 years. And let me tell you, we're going to see a period of time before the 42 months even happens that we're going to need to be carrying ourselves through that period of time.
But we have a year for you, which is just $300.
That's it.
That's an amazing, right?
Absolutely. It's
for 1 year, $300 for 24 cents.
Yeah, and that's
serving.
a value of $750, so you're saving $450 today, and that's 1 year plus 1 month of food.
People ask me, and nobody's ever heard me publicly say this, okay? Nobody. I have a year's supply of food for my staff.
Good.
Why do I do that? I do that because I know that if something happens, it's going to be panic for everybody except people who have prepared.
That's right.
And then if mom and dad both want a year to stay alive, then you get 2 years. Actually, it's 2 years and 2 months. So what is the price on that?
That is $600, and that is a value of $1,500. So you're saving $900 today.
10 buckets of amazing of our brand new Staying Alive food. The best bargain we've ever had.
Spend your money on quality food. It's going to be the food that gets you through the hard times. It's the morale builder. It's going to help you get through that time. Folks, I know food. I know the cost of food. They're giving this away. This is a good investment. Food is an investment. I love their food. And we eat their food. My wife, my kids, I raise my kids on it. This is the Cadillac of food.
I know that this stuff with the survival food, somebody, you know, but I think it's just common sense food. I'm glad Mike and I, we bought our food, and we're so glad that we did.
Call now, 1-888-988-1588. And you can write Pastor Jim at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri, 65615. You can also order this offer right now on our website at jimbakkershow.com.
John, you have a clipping. This is from the Atlantic Journal. The worst problem on earth and how to deal with North Korea. Can you give us those points?
Yes,
And
this
before we say
article,
goodbye
this
today?
is current. This is the July-August edition. You know, recently they came out that the solutions for this problem are getting less and less and more dangerous. You know, I saw that about a month ago in the news when they said that. Well, here they have condensed it down to 4 strategies to deal with North Korea, and the first 3 of them are military. And the first one is called prevention, a crushing U.S. military strike to eliminate Korea's arsenals of mass destruction. The second one is turning the screws, a limited conventional military attack. The only problem with a limited military attack that they go into when they give the details is that Korea might not think it's limited. And we might go and try to take out a couple of their nuclear sites and say, all right, now we're going to stop. We're just giving you a message. And North Korea said, you just attacked us and we're going to retaliate.
Yeah.
And literally, it's less than 30 minutes to drop a nuke on Japan and on Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah.
In the Seoul area, it's like over 20 million people. That is just literally a minute away. And on the DMZ, they have just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of buried artillery equipment that could literally be hitting the Seoul area in minutes.
So if the United States goes into North Korea, it's going to have to be such a crippling move because nobody wants to go to war and nobody wants anybody to really die. In this case, a diplomatic solution is the best solution. But at this point, North Korea doesn't have any respect for anybody that doesn't have a mighty military. Matter of fact, neither does China or Russia. And those are things to consider is how are they going to react in this case. And I know that's what's on Donald Trump's plate is what will happen if I make a move. So it will have to literally be such a move that they won't be able to retaliate within a certain amount of time to where our military could go in and secure the situation to the next point. So it'll have to be a big move. Matter of fact, we have a roll in from Lindsey Graham if you want to go there.
Let's go there. Let's find out what you're talking about, John.
North Korea, the president has said, we'll handle North Korea, we're going to be able to handle them, it will be handled. In your opinion, over the next year, is it more likely that there is some sort of military conflict on the Korean Peninsula, whether that's a surgical strike or something larger, or is it more likely that North Korea will cement its place as a nuclear threat in the world?
Well, this is the ultimate question. I know it's early in the morning, but President Trump has said, I will not allow them to get an ICBM with a nuclear weapon on top to hit America. They're headed that way. The only way they're going to change if they believe there's a credible threat of military force on the table.
Are you saying it's okay to use a military option that immediately endangers the lives of millions of people in that region?
I'm saying it's inevitable unless North Korea changes because you're making our president pick between regional stability and homeland security. He's having to make a choice that no president wants to make. They kicked the can down the road for 20 years. There's no place else to kick it. There will be a war with North Korea over their missile program if they continue to try to hit America with an ICBM. He has told me that. I believe him. And if I were China, I would believe him too and do something about it. You can stop North Korea militarily or diplomatically. I prefer the diplomatic approach. But they will not be allowed to have a missile to hit America with a nuclear weapon on top. And to allow them to do that is really abandoning homeland security.
John, something is so severe, and church people don't prepare.
Pastor Jim was just saying that he wrote his book, The Refuge, 17 years ago. Matter of fact, this issue has been going on for 20 years. They've been preparing for the destruction of the United States for over 20 years. So if you can imagine, over the last few years, we've been trying to get people to prepare, to get buckets. They've been spending the last 20 years doing the same, figuring out how to hide development of a nuclear weapon, how to hide their launches, and now they're doing it blatantly and in front of your face. So they are prepared to make their stand.
Well, you know, Jim, the timing of this, how fast could this come together? Lindsey Graham said Trump told him, I will not let them have an ICBM that can reach America. Before that happens, we will go after them. Isn't that what he just said? And the truth of the matter is, they're now saying Korea already has an ICBM that can hit the middle of the country. If you put those two statements together, you could wake up tomorrow and the bombs could be flying. And I keep saying, one nuclear bomb go off anywhere in the world, and you're going to have global panic, and it'll be too late to call Mark Graham or call Jim Bakker and say, will you ship out that truckload of food that I need?
Yeah.
It's too late.
We are in the most serious time probably in Americans' history. Yeah. And what is America doing? We're playing.
Yes.
We're mocking. We're mocking God. We need to get God on our side. We don't need to say, God, we don't need to make fun of God. But we are in the most serious time in history, and we're fighting among ourselves, Jim, in America.
It's worse than mocking God.
I mean, what are we going to do if one bomb slips through? All hell's going to break loose.
Jim, the church is mocking the prophets that God rose up to warn us.
That's right.
And when it all comes down, those people, God said, I will do nothing unless I warn you by the prophets. And you've got people mocking the prophets because it's not happening fast enough.
Yeah.
And by God's grace, it's not happening fast enough.
Yeah.
So we have time to put our order in and get the food out of his warehouse before the government does.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
good.
The men of God and women of God that have been on this program over the last couple years, they have warned us. They have warned us about many things. And the problem is, we're ignorant because they don't know all the things that these men have prophesied on our show have taken place. And the things about the blood moons, all of these things, so much took place. Trillions of dollars were lost in these events. Things happened. They all happened. And the problem is, all we're doing is feeding off the top of stuff. And they don't read and study what the Word says. Right. And that's what we're trying to bring in. We have got such a lineup of guests.
We do.
And they're going to share all the way from the White House to the captains and things. In fact, while I'm saying this, let's roll that.
Coming soon to Morningside and the Jim Bakker Show. We're honored to have Paula White with us on the Jim Bakker Show. Tuesday, August 15th. Mike Bickle of the International House of Prayer will join us Thursday, August 17th. Evangelist Alveda King will be back with us Tuesday, August 22nd. Author of God Meant It for Good, R.T. Kendall, will be here to introduce his new book Thursday, August 24th. Author and prophet Rick Joyner will be sharing a powerful word on Tuesday, August 29th. Doug Weed will be with us Thursday, August 31st. Rabbi Jonathan Kahn will introduce his new book, The Paradigm, Wednesday, September 6th, and Thursday, September 7th. Former Congressman Michelle Bachmann will make her first appearance on The Jim Bakker Show, Tuesday, September 12th. Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, Carl Gallups, and Tom Horn will return Monday, September 28th. Join us every night at 7 p.m. for The Prophets Speak, a night filled with worship and ministry. For our full schedule, go online to jimbakkershow.com. We can't wait for you to see what God's doing here at Morningside.
So that's our guests coming up, and there's a lot more. I mean, they're being added so fast.
They are.
That the people of God is bringing to here.
Yes.
And some of the greatest prophets in history are coming to the show.
Right.
Rick Joyner prophesied over me a few weeks ago, 2 days ago, actually.
Yes.
And I'm not going to share it until he comes. But let's run Rick right now and let him.
Is this one of Rick's rants?
Rick's rant.
I love Rick's rants.
And this is about
great.
North Korea
and
China and what needs to be done from this amazing prophet of God.
Good. Let's go.
China has been a big disappointment, and them not doing what they said they were going to do after Xi's meeting with Trump. Virtually done nothing. They started to do something right away and then backed off. About the only options to us now are to really put the squeeze on China, where any business, any bank that does business with North Korea will not do business in America. We didn't want it to happen that way. We wanted China to do its part to rein in North Korea. They could have done it by themselves. Then the other option available to us is some kind of cyber attack that just shuts down the electronics in North Korea. Now, that would be an act of war. It would be war. As Japan and the U.S. said today, listen, we got to take action on North Korea. Now, supposedly, even our intelligence is saying they really could hit up to 50% of America right now with their intercontinental missiles. You cannot let a crazy madman like is running North Korea have that kind of weapons and that kind of potential blackmail authority over so much of the world. They could hit all of Japan. They could hit many of our different allies right now. So we really need to pray for that situation.
Rick Joyner has a great wisdom, and I believe God's called him for this hour.
Absolutely.
This time. And John, you were sharing this article, The Worst Problem on Earth. Could you give the other two before we leave today?
And the third one is decapitation, which is like sending in a surgical team to take out the leadership. But they're saying there's so much risk involved because, number one, the country itself can look at it. They look at their leader as almost a god. Mm-hmm. And for us to go in there to try to decapitate the leadership, all the generals and all the military could go and just do everything for revenge, to where they're destroying Japan, destroying South Korea. And the bottom line is option 1, 2, and 3, all military and all involve incredible risk, to where the loss of life would be greater than anything we've seen in this world, going all the way back to, the Great War, Second World War, or the Korean War. And so that's the third option, is decapitation. And they're saying it's not a very viable option.
This warfare, what's going on in America, it's all public. And in North Korea, it's public. All over the world. They say, we hate America. The people we've supported, Iran, we gave them $1 trillion probably. And they hate us. You'd say, we love you. You'd say, why? We want to hug you. You gave us $1 trillion, Instead, they say, we want to kill you. We want to kill all the people in Israel, and we want to kill everyone in the United States of America. And so we're in an unusual time where there's such a vocal war. This is the warfare of word that God showed me in Revelation chapter 6. Mm-hmm. The first horse is the horse of the apocalypse. That is this is the horse of the Antichrist. That spirit.
Yeah.
Can you people not see the spirit of Antichrist is in the United States of America? We've never had it. What is this? The falling away? The love of many shall wax cold? This is not the America I grew up in. This is America that you can't even have the 10 Commandments in the park. And we've all just let it go. And I'll tell you, judgment's coming.
The church out there that quit preparing because nothing happened a year and a half ago, man, you need to get your head out of the sand and realize we got a lot to worry about.
The world almost turned over. This is a whole different country.
Completely.
We've never, ever had a time when 50% of the people wanted to kill the President of the United States. My Lord, my Lord.
Jim, that fourth option, I'm going to say it real quick. It's acceptance. Kicking the can down the road. Don't do anything and just hope nothing happens. none of these options are very good. I mean, you want to let Korea just accept them as a nuclear power that wants to destroy us, and when they have nuclear capability to send nukes from their submarines and from their own shores to destroy America, South Korea, and Japan, I'll tell you, there are no good options here. But you talk about America, this is not the same country that I grew up in.
They're not fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their lifestyles.
That's right.
And they hate our president because he threatens their lifestyles. And we are in the most serious moments in the history of the United States. And my job, one of my jobs, what that God called me to do, was to get the church ready to win souls in the last days.
Yes.
And one of the big things was, if you're starving to death, you're gonna you'll only, without food, you can only live, what, 4 days or so?
Right.
If an EMP bomb goes, or other, a volcano. A volcano will turn, if Yellowstone goes on, we could be in the dark for up to 2 years perhaps or more. But a nuclear winter will take place, and the clouds will cover the sun, the moon, and the stars. Food will not grow. And I looked this all up. I prayed in the prison cell, and I researched every ounce of it. I researched the revelation. What is this? And I was shocked when I kept finding. I found 9 places where the Bible says before Jesus returns, the sun and the moon is going to be darkened. And I thought, well, how can this happen? And it talked about these pillars of smoke coming out of the earth, volcanoes. Then fiery mountains coming from the sky. What do you think a fiery mountain is? Anybody?
Asteroid?
What?
Asteroid, meteor.
A what?
An asteroid.
Asteroid, that's one.
Comet.
Comets, they're coming from the sky. All these, and everything in this Bible about the last days, it's so real. It's not. So people won't read Revelation because they get scared,
or they don't understand.
But if you read it with the key words of sight and sound, seeing and hearing, it says the taking off of the cover.
Yes.
The uncovering.
Unveiling, the uncovering.
So when people say, I don't read Revelation because I don't get it, all you're saying is, God, I don't want to. Because he said there's a great blessing to read it.
It's the only book in the Bible.
But it's not a covering. It's the uncovering, Lori.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's the uncovering. And when I began to read this, and in the way God was showing me to read it, and I spent this time with John, the great revelator, the man of God who God talked to, and I read it as if I was sitting next to him, and it opened up and opened up and opened up and opened. You know, my Revelation series.
This Revelation series is amazing.
I'm not planning to promote this at all.
This is always available to you.
This is every word of the book of Revelation.
That's right.
Is in my classes.
You did 28 hours teaching. It was every Tuesday
Every word. I read every word. Taught every word.
For 28 weeks, we were there. And also you'll receive the study of the words of Jesus from the prison cell of Jim Bakker.
It'll open it up, Lori. It's just the opening. It's the uncovering.
Right. It's incredible.
What I'd like to do soon, Mondo, is start teaching where we are. From the Four Horsemen and on.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be great.
Because the Four Horsemen are there. They're riding. And this, what's happening, and the Four Horsemen is now. Yes. It's now. It's now. It's now. It's now. The first horse is massive out of the barn, and the rest of them. And if the rest of them are right, we're going to have warfare soon. Well, if you study the Hebrew and the Greek, you're going to see that it was these things, when they happen, they're all going to happen, one thing after another. And that's where we are, people. That's why I get so on fire about this thing. Because when it happens, you're not going to have time. You're not going to have one little thing, one little atomic bomb. When it happens, it's all going to happen. And that generation will see the coming of the Lord. I need to let you all go. But I've been preaching.
Yes.
This is a book I wrote.
Yes.
How to Prepare Now for the Epic Events. This is really the book of Revelation made simple. This is the highlights of when does the rapture take place. Why do I believe it? But the prosperity and the coming apocalypse, this was my first book after I was wrong. And this is avoiding the dangers of materialistic Christianity in the end times. This really came from spending 5 years in a prison cell. This is what I feel God sent me to prison to get this message right here. They all are. And the refuges. This is now. This is getting ready now. This is how to be ready for what's going on. And so if you want to get, what did you do for
30
all 3 books?
$30
$30 for
30.
These are my
Jim Bakker
3 latest books that I've written.
Well, wheat is going to be, a quart of wheat's going to be a day's wages. And I calculated it out, that if there's 24 quarts in a 6-gallon bucket, that's almost a month's wages. So that a bucket of wheat will be worth $2,000, and probably any bucket of food will be worth $2,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what we saw when the great Japan earthquake and tsunami hit? Food, our buckets, the same buckets we give away, they were going as high as what was
$1,500.
$1,500 a bucket during that crisis. And it was they were just going crazy because food wasn't available. In fact, you go to the food sites. Did you remember? I don't know if it was on your site or not, but the food sites said food no longer available.
Yeah, no longer accepting orders.
Yeah.
It was a 6-month lead time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if people did order, there was no food to ship anyways. So it was really, get in line. And once your number is drawn, we'll take your order.
Well, that's we did live from Japan, and we're talking to the people there that had our food.
Right.
And they were so grateful.
Yeah, they said there are people right around the corner. They could see outside their window, down the street.
Right down
right
out
there,
their window.
just standing in line for food.
Everybody waiting all day long to get food.
Right.
And
it was
didn't come always.
Pretty amazing.
Either,
You know, it's a very interesting thing is you guys, Jim, you asked me how many people, how many servings, how many meals have we've put out there in America or across the world. And we really can't count that many. It's in the millions. But just to go back and relate, how many have not prepared? How many do not have food?
That's it.
And that's what you guys are talking about. The rich, the poor. It doesn't matter. They're going to be in that line.
Do you ever feel like we haven't done enough? We just scratched the surface.
You speak it and you speak it and you speak it.
And there's enough Christians around that aren't really Christians, but they're mean-spirited. And, I mean, if you pass from death into life if you love the brethren.
Right.
And so they're just mean-spirited. And they just make fun of you for trying to get the hungry food.
Right.
Yep.
And
that's okay.
the thing of it is if we don't do this, I don't want to live in guilt. I know God has called me.
Absolutely.
I'm the first person that I know of, and I know Pat Robertson was there and he hired me actually, but I feel like I was the first person called full-time as a ministry to television, to Christian television. And my whole life was nothing but television. And I believe that I've also now, that God has called me to prepare the saints so they'll be able to have abundant food. And today we just talked about pancakes that are really good.
It's just so much. This is just an endless. I mean, when you get creative, so endless of the things that you can do. That's why I hate the limitation of putting, buttermilk pancake mix. It's really a miracle mix.
Absolutely.
It's a basic. We got to come up with a better name for this because it's not just pancake mix.
Well, I'll tell you, the chocolate chip cookies he made from
so
this
good.
base.
We need a chocolate chip cookie mix.
So good. Yeah, it's a everything mix. But Mark.
So order it now.
Yes.
Go to the phone.
Yes.
And write the number down because I know the phones have been jammed, and I want you to call back.
Right. So call us right now.
And if every month or every week even, you put something away, you're going to have enough food to not just help yourself. Right. You're going to be able to help others. Yes. And what does the Bible say, John? When you did it to the least.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it to God.
Just on that.
And I love that.
That one thought. When you do it unto me, you do it to the least of these.
Yes.
This is what really hit me the hardest. If anyone has material possessions, the ability to help others, is what it's saying, and sees his brother in need, but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we've got to get back to loving each other.
Amen.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this special message.
Mom, Dad, we got the president of Augustin Farms here with us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Mondo.
Please explain to us, what do we have here?
What we have here is what we started out with, a normal, everyday pancake mix, and we've been creative as can be with this. We've developed over 54 recipes that we can take pancake mix and do great stuff like baked chicken. We can do chicken pot pie. We can do churros. We're doing a fruit streusel, cinnamon rolls. I'm talking muffins. I'm talking apple pie, corn dogs. We're having pizza crust, chocolate pancakes, as well as hush puppies, chocolate chip cookies, drop biscuits, cheese crackers, rolled biscuits. I even have a loaf of bread here made from pancake mix, amazing stuff. Funnel cakes, which we all love, as well as crackers.
So Mark, I want to make sure we understand. One bucket can make all this.
Absolutely, one bucket can make that plus more.
And when they order this offer, they're going to receive a recipe book that you have put together, over 50 different recipes, and I'm sure we can come up with some different other recipes as well, but just to explain to the people, what are they going to be expecting when they open this up?
Look, they're going to open this thing up and they're going to say, I can't believe Pancake can do this much stuff. They're going to see breakfast items, they're going to see lunch items, dinner items, desserts, and snacks. So this is the first of many to come on the recipes from Augustin Farms that support products so we can be comfortable, have a sense of ease and comfort in our home as we sit down with our families and have a nice conversation.
There you go.
As well as a great meal to eat.
Now, Jerry, you and Mark have put together an offer that is unbelievable today. Explain to us, what can they receive when they order this?
Well, Mondo, when they get just one bucket, they start with 253 servings in this bucket, and we got one of them available for just $70, and that has made everything you see in front of our table here.
And that's over 400 pancakes.
That's over 400 pancakes that came right out of
waffles,
that bucket.
The waffles are included, the pancakes, and even in the front, Mondo, there's chocolate flavored and chocolate pancakes in front. So, we wanted to show various things you can do with this batter just to get started in the morning. We put together a 3-bucket offer just in case people won, and 1 to 5 was too many. So 1 is $70. 3 is $195. So that breaks it down to just $65 each. And then we have a bundle. The year for you is 5 buckets, and that is for $300. Okay? Now, the better of all of the above, the best of the best, is the year for 2. That's 2 years worth of pancakes. And that's pancakes that you can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 servings a day. And that's just $550, which then 10 buckets for $550 makes it just $55 a bucket. So you'll have a lot of pancakes.
Mark, I believe people are going to be calling in, ordering from the website. Never before you guys have put a deal like this before. So why did you guys do this?
because of the amazing partners of the Morningside Church and the sustainability of what this food's going to do for them. It's going to put smiles on your faces on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and it can save your life. That's the beauty of what we're doing here. I'm telling you, this is the way to go. Start here. We've made it simple. We've made it easy. You're just adding water and you're adding the rest of it. Just fun, recipes and ideas and creations. Make your own. Make your own recipe. Send us one back. Let us know what we should add to this maybe next time.
Absolutely. So go to the phones right now, 1-888-988-1588, or write us today at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615, or go to jimbakkershow.com and order your products today.
Call now, 1-888-988-1588. And you can write Pastor Jim at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615.
And I know we give out.
We have to do
from
this.
your company. We have a
our food
drawing.
giveaway. It's a food giveaway.
Each month we give away 5 years worth of food.
He's giving 5 years of food every month to our viewers. If all you do is go to our website, I think.
Go to the website to enter
and register, and you
month.
don't have to buy anything.
Okay, so this is a month our monthly food giveaway. These are all the people that I guess
from
signed
July.
up on
That was July, I think.
Right. And as we're taping this show, we just entered
who
August.
Who won, Lori, last month?
Ricky has the winner over there.
It was actually Fred Tomble from Texas.
Texas boy.
Yeah.
Were you interested? There he is.
Look, and he has it all stacked up.
5 years of food in the number 10 cans.
And all you have to do is go to the Jim Bakker Show website, go jimbakkershow.com, and just sign up.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine winning 5 years of food?
And there's 12 of those years. So we've given away how many now? 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
Number 7's coming up.
Here we go. Okay, I'm going to draw.
I know I can't enter, but I sure love to get that 12 years.
I'm going to draw just because I don't think I ever have.
5 years of.
Hope I can read and I'll do.
Okay,
Okay, here we go.
Close your eyes.
I mean, they're all bright yellow. I have one here. Here we go. Are you ready?
Somebody who needs it, I hope. Somebody who needs it.
All I can say is the first name. This is Shanna. Yay! Shanna, you just won 5 years of food. 30-year shelf life from Augustus Farm Food and the Jim Bakker Show. That is so exciting. Congratulations.
Mark, thank you for being with us. Thank you for being so generous. And
thank you for
thank you on behalf of the people that won this month.
Family
John Shorey, appreciate you coming from the desert.
Yes,
and look forward to having you back soon.
Be here.
Don't stay away too long, because I know you got a lot more to say. He only got in about a half of it for this visit, but he'll be back.
Well,
God loves you. He really does. Call me now, would you? Or go to the website, jimbakkershow.com, and order your food. Don't put it off. Don't put it off.
That's right.
One day, so many are going to say, I wish we'd all been ready. God loves you. He really does. Bye-bye for today.
Bye-bye. We love you.